Hey everyone. Hi, writers and readers. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing really well. I am once again doing a live stream on both Facebook and on YouTube. So I was going to use my computer that has an easier time handling this stuff, but the webcam seems to think that natural light is just too strong and it makes these really weird like patterns of light on my face. So I wasn't able to do that. Anyway, I hope this will just be fine. So I have two things I wanted to mention to you. This week, I got an email from BookBaby, and I think it was in their weekend edition newsletter, and they have an article up. And then the other was from Joanna Penn's newsletter. So the BookBaby one is about isolated sentence tests. How does your work score? And it's basically you're trying to tell, does your writing style carry through every single sentence, essentially, in your book? The other one is Joanna Penn talking about mid-year focus. So let's talk about the isolated sentence test first. But actually, I think I said I was going to update you guys. Hey, Katie. Hey, everyone. So I was going to update you guys on the girls' night. I want to say, yeah, girls' night in. It was that thing I talked about last week with the book clubs. And they're supposed to have like a book club that's online so that you don't have to go anywhere. And so I had said that's by newsletter. And so I needed to see their newsletter to see how it, how it measured up. And so I did get one of their newsletters. They come out every Friday, and I was not really impressed. You guys let me know if you ever try it, what you think. But for me, I was sort of like, okay, it sends you some book, like one or two book recommendations, and it'll say something in a very youthful tone. And it just, I guess you can then talk about it on social media or something. Once again, I didn't really feel that it was if great, but it's not like a community where you can go like to the Modern Mrs. Darcy one, and you can just like talk about on the forum there. This is not like that. They just send you something, and it has other stuff in it, like I don't know, self-care and things like that. A lot of it did strike me heavily as like a woman's magazine, like a mix between Elle and Cosmopolitan or something. So for me, that's not up my alley. But if that is for you, then check out Girls' Night In. Okay, let's go over to the BookBaby isolated sentence test. This one was interesting. I would like to know what you guys think about it. Their whole concept, and I've heard this before, this is not like brand new information or anything, but they had sent around this email that has this blog. Open a book you love to a random page and read one isolated sentence. Can you hear the author's voice? Does it evoke an emotion? Does it draw you in? Now open your own work. How does it fare? So that's their whole thing. You take your book and you open it and see, does that sentence sort of sound like you, I have to say, not every book is going to, not every sentence is necessarily, in my opinion, in a book that has either a narrator or narration. It's not in deep POV, especially not in first person. I don't think every sentence can necessarily, I don't think it can be literal. Let me know if you think that I'm wrong on that. Like there are only so many ways to say he walked over there. Do you know what I mean? So like in some cases, I'm not sure that that is the greatest test. But otherwise, it depends, I think, on the book that you look at. Like I said, deep POV. So if we were to open Room, the book Room by Emma Donoghue, and you look in that, and that is deep POV. It's from the perspective of a child who has been born essentially like in captivity. His mom was kidnapped, and of course, she has not had this child by choice. She ended up stuck having this child, and she takes really good care of him and everything, but they're trapped in one room. And that's why it's called Room. So it's deeply in the perspective of that child. And what that means is that every word sounds like that child. Every sentence structure, every sentence, every thought is that child. And there is no stepping outside. There's no other narrator. There's no switching. It's beyond just saying first person POV. It's so deep in it that you never hear the author's voice. And so with something like that, absolutely, I could see where every sentence would sound like, like that author. Well, it wouldn't even sound like the author, would it? It would sound like the character. But anyway, it would pass the isolated sentence test. But I think that if you open another book, there are going to be maybe like, what would you say? Like, I don't know, 97% that might sound like it. And then there's another 3% that doesn't. So I think that the concept is a good one. But I do think that there are some sentences that maybe don't have so much personality in them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, if you are looking to do deep POV in particular, which is an excellent way to keep readers involved and interested, then I think you should be looking at it that way. So anyway, I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. Am I being too critical? Do you think that it works? Have you tried it before? I would be interested to know what you guys think about that. So the other one is from Joanna Penn. And that is a newsletter that she sent out. She's talking about mid-year refocus, that this is a good time to refocus your mid-year goals. So I'll read you what she said, because I love this idea. We all have goals, and we recently did on Going D Now a panel of setting realistic goals. So go check that out if you haven't seen it yet. We talked a lot about what kinds of goals, what's achievable, what makes sense, how to set realistic goals, etc. So Joanna says, it is just past mid-year, so it's time to revisit our goals for the year anyway. So I thought I'd share some of how I am refocusing in the hope that it will also help you. She says, the first one is to make a list of everything that is overwhelming you and everything you are doing or want to get done. Just keep writing until your head is empty. That's a really nice one. I think I've talked about this on this channel, or if you're on Facebook, on YouTube. I've talked about it on YouTube. Trying to write everything down, and even like how you organize that is up to you. Whether you say, here's my writing list, here's my work list, here's my other, household stuff, or whether you put it like, here's the urgent stuff, here's the not so urgent stuff, here's the stuff that doesn't matter. However you organize it, trying to write everything down can really help. It can get all of that out of your mind. One of the biggest stressors I find is a fear of forgetting things. And so things are constantly popping into my mind all the time. And it's distracting, it's annoying, and it's very nerve-wracking that I will still forget whatever it is that I'm trying to remember. So lists are a big thing. And sometimes, using lists can take away some stress that maybe you didn't even know you had. Her second one is to eliminate and simplify, crossing off things that you've already done. And so I think all of this obviously makes a lot of sense. I like her whole list thing. And I think that reevaluating your goals, especially depending on what they are you looking to get ahead in your job by the end of the year? Are you looking to, at the same time, publish a book by the end of the year? And sort of also reevaluating just how much you've put on yourself is really important too, because you may find that by the end of the year, you're like, oh, wow, I have so much planned to finish by December. I'm not sure how realistic and doable this is. So I think that that's super important too. And I think that we don't think enough about, am I doing something realistic? Do I have goals that I can achieve, achievable goals? It can make you really, really down if you have all these goals that are just impossible. And you look at them and you're like, I can do it. But there's a difference between I can do it positivity, I can do it, it's just a challenge, and, this is actually impossible, but I'm just going to write it anyway. Like maybe I'll get lucky. Those are two different things. They can cause some amount of upset if you don't actually get all of that done. It's important to know how you react to your goals also, and not making them and making them, so that whether setting, like you have the goals you can make, and then maybe you have challenge goals over here that are like above and beyond. Do you react well to that if you have those goals set out? If you write goals down that you feel are really not achievable, but you'd like to try, does that make you feel and cause some, bad self feelings, bad feelings towards yourself? If you know that it does, then you don't want to do that, obviously. So it's important to be a little bit introspective about goals. I think there's a lot more to goals than people think. And there can even be a lot more to lists than people think in that respect as well, especially when you have things that sit on a list for months. You may want to put that on a separate list that is going to be sitting there for months, and where it's okay for it to sit there for months. So anyway, I'm not trying to overcomplicate the whole thing, but I am trying to say that it took me a while to figure out, when I refocus mid-year, the last quarter, the next year, whatever, it is really important for me to self-evaluate and see what works for me and what's going to make me feel not so good after all. So keep that in mind when you're refocusing mid-year, see how, and give yourself credit for everything you have accomplished already. That's part of refocusing. How far have I gotten? How much have I done? Am I happy with it? What went right and what went wrong? And again, not necessarily overcomplicating it or anything, but give yourself credit for everything that you have done. That's part of the focus thing. It's really important. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I really appreciate you watching, as always. I end the stream on both Facebook and YouTube, so it may take a while. Sorry, it's just a little delay. Anyway, write what you think in the comments. Share your opinions with me. I'm always interested to hear what you have to say. And thanks for spending time with me, as always.